Hey everybody, this is Jason doing a video that's a little different than usual. I've been told by many of you guys, the multitudes, that I really should start doing things that I also have passion about, and that's movies. And people keep saying, I want to see your collection, I want to know what you're doing when it comes to movies. So if you don't want to watch anything I'm talking about movies or kind of my thoughts and my approach to movie collecting and how I do it and what I do, you probably don't want to watch any further because this is going to have zero to do with baseball cards. It's going to have everything to do with films. I'm going to talk a little bit about each movie, maybe just actually a little bit, but mostly I'm going to just do what I love to do, which is go and buy movies, Blu-rays and DVDs, even VHS, and I do add them to my collection. Sometimes I flip them and sell them on eBay or whatever. A lot of times I just add to my collection or upgrade or whatnot. And I usually do them when I go to flea markets, antique stores, what's the word I'm looking for? Pawn shops, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. And so I'm always looking for getting good deals. So every single movie you're going to see today, I got for $3 for $1. So I bought, 15 movies for $5. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, public school education did not fail me. So I got all 15 movies for $5. So I think that's a pretty good deal. So with that being said, I'm going to show off what I received, and we'll go from there. First up, this is a 2-disc special collector's edition of Pacific Rim, a Peter Jackson joint. It is Monsters vs. Robots. It is a great movie. You have Jax from, Sons of Anarchy in here. And this is a great movie. I think I might have said Peter Jackson. I mean Guillermo del Toro. Sorry. All of a sudden I just realized, hold on, wait, that's not him. Guillermo del Toro. Sorry. Anyway, so Guillermo del Toro, who went on to do, beforehand he did Blade 2, which I loved, and he did the Hellboy movies. So anyways, I love this movie. It's a really good movie, a lot of fun, a good sci-fi movie. Next up is a complete turd of a film, is The Amazing Spider-Man Part 2, which is basically Spy Kids with costumes on. This movie was awful. They turned Electro into a black guy who was a super nerd. Jamie Foxx was completely slumming it in this movie. Then he had this wannabe Green Goblin guy. It was just awful. Just leave the characters alone. Let the characters be the characters are supposed to be. Then there's Rhino shows up for 2 seconds. I mean, it's awful. Leave the characters alone. Just just let the characters be the characters. What they were originally written as. Don't try to make them modern. Don't try to make them different nationalities or different sexualities or different sexes. Just let them be who they're supposed to be. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. If you want a superhero to be a certain creation, create that superhero. Make that comic book. Make that TV show, movie, medium, whatever. Do not take characters and just make up your own stuff just to try to be, in vogue and whatever. It's ridiculous. But this movie is garbage. It is also the movie that killed the franchise. So they had to restart it with the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And that, so far, has been awesome. Next up, we have Mad Max, Fury Road. This really should be called Furiosa Max, because Mad Max is not even really the centerpiece or main focus of this movie. Tom Hardy plays second fiddle to Charlize Theron, and it's a her movie, and he just happens to be in the movie. He doesn't really even have his own day in the sun until much later in the movie. And this movie's awesome. It's a great action movie. It's definitely a wonderful Mad Max type of movie. And the movie itself is just fantastic. But it's not really a Mad Max movie. It's a Furiosa movie. So I've always had a problem with that, quite frankly, because it really should not be in that canon, so to speak, in my humble opinion, though it is a fantastic film. This, I've never seen, is Transformers The Last Night, but it's never even been opened. It's still sealed. And so there you go. So I do like the Transformers movies. They do get kind of silly. There's some ridiculousness in them, but as a child from the 80s, I can't go wrong to seeing my favorite robots kind of come to life on the big screen. Even though they had a couple really painful things to watch, like they had the Japanese samurai one who had this like real Japanese thick accent and was just making him to be like this samurai warrior. And then they had a couple ones before that. They had apparently two of the like dump truck looking guys or something. They were like supposed to be, I guess, black. They were like doing all this like gangster talk, and it was just painful. I'm like, why do you do that? I mean, they're making caricatures of the Transformers, and it just almost is so. I don't know. I just don't like it. I mean, I'm not a PC guy at all, but I'm just like, let's not perpetuate stereotypes. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if this is any good or not, but it was sealed, and for less than 50 cents, 33 cents, you can't go wrong. I have a friend of mine I was with, and he said this is a really good movie with Guy Pearce called Lockout. It's the unrated version. It's like apparently he said it's like a prison movie in space. So I know that's Maggie Grace or somebody in there with him, right? Is that who that is? Yeah, Maggie Grace, who was from Maggie Grace, Where She Go? Oh, she's on the back. She was in Lost. Guy Pearce, I like him. He's in lots of different movies. He's a good actor. I'm going to give that a shot. This is an updated cover version of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I actually do not like this cover. The original cover from the 80s, which is like real like circusy and all colorful, I like that. They're trying to, I guess, appeal to a more darker crowd to make it more like a horror movie instead of a horror spoof. Kind of goofy. I mean, it's definitely horrific, and there's scary things that kind of happen in there. But I think they're trying to make this to be more scary than it really is. I mean, it's definitely scary, I think, for maybe people under 13. But if you're an adult, like, when you see this, you might think, ooh, this is like a really scary killer clown movie. But when you actually know Killer Clowns by the Chido brothers, you realize it's not actually at all scary. Then we have, I think, the last chapter, so it says, of Resident Evil, Mia Jovovich, the final chapter. Let's back this out a little bit. Finish the fight. I have that same friend. He's a huge fan of this series. I kind of can leave it or take it or leave it. I think it's a fun series, but I always feel like the CGI has always been like always subpar. And when you're focused on the whole movie being a CGI movie, you really have to have great CGI. So, I mean, I think the action scenes are cool, but again, that's the final chapter, so they say. But I'll believe it when I see it. Next up is a very underrated film, Homefront, with Jason Statham. Now, guys, most everybody knows Jason Statham from almost any action movie since about the late 90s until recently. This movie, he plays a single father or a widowed father, and James Franco plays the bad guy. So we're actually going against two types. You have Jason Statham, who's all like pro-America in this movie. He's like a good old, I think he's still from another country. I don't know I can't remember if he's supposed to have an accent or not. But you have Jason Statham in here, who's like a good old boy in a nondescript American town who's taking care of his kid. It's even in a southern town. And James Franco is kind of like some kind of drug lord, and his name's Gator, if you can believe it. And so we all know that James Franco definitely is a drug something, but a drug lord probably not. And so Jason Statham definitely plays against type. He's not like, I'm going to just come in here and just rip you apart like in Transporter or The Expendables. And James Franco is not playing a burnout like in Pineapple Express, whatever else movies that you could think of James Franco in. So it's a really good movie, good drama. I mean, there is some good action in it, but it's kind of a throwback to an 80s action flick, but it's a little bit more drama and story, which I appreciate. Next up, talking about 80s action flicks, you definitely can enjoy Cobra. Sylvester Stallone, Sylvester Stallone in this movie is fantastic. I love this film. Crime is a Disease, Meet the Cure. That is a fantastic movie, and I just love this movie. This is one of those films that was directed by, if I'm not mistaken, George P. Cosmatos. Yeah, Cosmatos. Sorry, that guy's last name always throws me for a loop. But anyways, he did a lot of 80s action movies, and it was a fantastic film. I just love this movie. It is a good 80s action flick. Stallone has all his cheesy one-liners in it, walking around with his toothpick in his mouth, and it's awesome. If you haven't seen that movie at this point in 2000, almost 19, then obviously you're missing out. Next up is, I'm going to switch it around a little bit, Prometheus, which is like a prequel to Alien. This is another great movie. It's a thinking man's movie. There's a lot going on in this movie that does not involve the alien creature, the xenomorph creature. So it is a really good movie. I highly recommend it. It doesn't really pick up the sci-fi and alien attack stuff until the end. And even then, it's not exactly what you think. So it is a good movie, but it is a kind of a slow burn. Then you have Alien Covenant. And this is another, this is like, again, I believe, is a part 2 of Prometheus, if I understand correctly. So it's still before Alien, which I believe the first Alien movie came out in like 1978, something like that. And then you have these two movies that are actually supposedly predate that as far as canon. So you have this, and so obviously here, Alien Covenant, there's a lot more alien attacks and creature attacks in this with creatures. I just think it's awesome. And it is definitely a must if you are a fan of the Alien movies. Next up is a Major League Part 2. I actually did not have this in my collection. Obviously, I've seen this movie, but this is a movie that I did not have in my collection. So I rectified that today. This copy's kind of busted up, so I might have to upgrade this copy eventually. But the disc is all... I check all the discs before I buy them. Obviously, that's something you should always know. You should always check your discs if you're ever buying used, because a lot of times, sometimes the discs aren't there. Obviously, that's a problem. Other situations you might have are the discs are scratched up. They might have like residue or sticky stuff on them. Like sometimes people use them as coasters. So you just have all kinds of things you got to watch out for. So it's very important if you're buying used DVDs or Blu-rays to inspect the discs. Sometimes they come in with, they're supposed to have 2 discs. You only have 1. So I'm not spending, even if it's 50 cents, because I'm a completist, I'm not spending 50 cents or 33 cents or $1.50 or $5 or whatever if the whole package isn't there. If it's supposed to come with 3D glasses, if it's supposed to come in with a booklet, you got to make sure you're checking those things and seeing if that actually is the case. Because you know, why would you buy something if it's not the whole kit and caboodle? Unless you're just trying to add pieces of the DVD or Blu-ray case that you're missing from your other discs. Then I guess you can buy them if you need an upgrade. But anyway, we got Major League Part 2, which basically brings back the entire cast to be in it. Next up is a movie that is the unrated extended edition, also with Mia Jovovich, Ultraviolet. And this movie is a very popular movie. This is also out of print, as is Cobra. Cobra is out of print as well. I think those are my 2 out of print films today. So this is out of print, so you can't find this anymore. This movie is no longer in circulation. So coming across this movie is going to be kind of unusual, because you just can't go to your local Piggly Wiggly and pick it up. Next up is Wonder Woman. I did like this movie. I do think it was overhyped, because it's the one DC movie that actually did a pretty good job with the character. And I think everybody just thought it was like, you know, the second coming of I don't know what, because of it was a solid film. But this is a solid film. This is not a fantastic film. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's not Avengers. It's not Avengers. I would say it's like a strong, what would I say? This is like a nice, I would say this is like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good, what's the Winter Soldier? This is like a Winter Soldier. It's a solid film. It's a great film. But is it Avengers Infinity War? No. Is it the first Avengers film? No. Is it Thor Ragnarok? Definitely not. Is it Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1? No. But it's definitely a Winter Soldier. It's solid. It's a great film. It is not blow off your socks like they're trying to make it out to be, which I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's a woman superhero. It's because DC keeps producing direct crap, which is what DC stands for. I don't know. But that's my speculation. And then lastly is The Mechanic Part 2, Resurrection, which is also based off of a 1970s film with Charles Bronson, also called The Mechanic. So there was the first version, or there's the first movie, and then they did a Part 2. And basically, if you watch the first one, it's the same stuff, except not as good. I feel like this is a weaker, watered-down version. I thought the first one was a lot better. I mean, I also believe because Ben Foster was in the first one, and Ben Foster's a fantastic and very underrated actor. In this one, Jason Statham's in there with Jessica Alba, Tommy Lee Jones, and Michelle Yeoh. All those actors are pretty good in their own right. Well, really good, especially Tommy Lee Jones and Michelle Yeoh. Jessica Alba, not so much. But, again, it's a good action flick, so it's kind of like the poor man's Mission Impossible. So if you've never seen The Mechanic or The Mechanic Resurrection, think of Mission Impossible, except the poor man version, and you kind of got what this is. So guys, that's my DVD haul. Hopefully you enjoyed the film, or my film version of my channel. Be prepared because there's going to be more videos of this. I think this is something I would like to do more. It would expand my channel possibly, but also just fun. I like talking about it. Where you, like so many of the recent videos or response videos have said, there's more to you than just your baseball cards. So I'm taking that to heart and kind of like sharing other passions I have, which is film and both behind the scenes and in front of the camera, as well as the films itself and all the stuff that comes with it. So hopefully y'all enjoyed, and until next time, thank you for watching. Peace out.